Welcome back, nerds. How are we doing today? I'm John. I run Falstaff Books and I write things. And today we're going to talk about how to pitch your book when you're hand selling. That means when you're at a convention or a conference or a flea market or anywhere, and you have someone standing in front of you with their wallet in their hand and they are ready to buy a book. How do you make sure that it's yours? Well, a lot of that does come down to the pitch. But this is not about you explaining every element of your book. This is not where you rattle off this list of influences for your work. This is where you give somebody the log line or the one sentence hook for why they should buy your book. Let me set the stage. You are at a Comic-Con. You're standing behind a table and you have, let's say, 3 books. Now, someone walks up and they pick up this book. Has a badass dude on the cover, looks like he's about to knock somebody's head off. This is neat. What's this about? They don't want the plot summary. They have no interest in hearing all about the synopsis of the book. The synopsis is right here. These people standing in front of you at conventions are not stupid. They can read. You certainly hope that they can and will read because you're trying to sell them a book. They want to hear from you, the person closest to the book, what's cool about it. What makes this worth their $20? So when someone says, I read fantasy, I generally follow up with, okay, we talking like sword and sorcery, Conan and elves, or we talking Angel and Buffy and vampires and werewolves? And if they say, oh, more sword and sorcery, Conan-y, okay. Well, Unforgiven is a high fantasy reframing of the Seven Samurai or the Magnificent Seven. And depending on the age of the person I'm talking to, sometimes that's immediately, oh, yeah, okay, I completely get it. And sometimes it's like me when someone tries to explain Dragon Ball Z or One Punch Man. It's like, huh? Or try to explain the guy with the stretchy arms from One Piece. Totally don't get it. Not my vibe. So if they don't get it, I'm like, okay, well, it's a high fantasy, found family story, ragtag bunch of misfits, betrayal, little bit of chosen one, little bit of unlikely alliances. Yeah, okay. And then I hand them the book, and they can take a look through, and maybe they read a piece. And then they buy the book. I didn't go into the whole plot. I didn't talk about this as a metaphor for family, as a method for dealing with loss, or any other thing that it may have been when I was writing it. I didn't talk about the fact that it was comfort food for me as a writer when I was going through some hectic times in 2020 to 2022. That's not relevant to someone who's buying the book. They want to know what makes it cool and what can I relate it to. When you're telling somebody about a new TV show, like I've been watching Tracker a lot lately. And if someone were to say, well, what's Tracker about? I wouldn't go into Coulter Shaw as a character created by Jeffrey Deaver in his book The Never Game, and he was raised by this conspiracy nut survivalist father, and he thinks his brother killed his father, and there's all this multi-layered... No, I wouldn't go into any of that. I'd be like, there's this cool dude and he goes around the country chasing rewards and helping people, but it's played by the guy who played Green Arrow on Smallville, and Dean Winchester starts doing cameos in season 1 and comes back in season 2, and Dean's character is the older brother again, and he drives an Impala again. So many Easter eggs. I'd be talking about that stuff because that's what makes it cool to me. I'm not going into all of the plots. If somebody comes up and they look at year 1, I don't lead with one of the novellas that makes up year 1 won the Manly Wade Wellman Award for Best North Carolina Science Fiction or Fantasy Book in the year it was released. I don't lead with that because a random person standing there looking at my table may not have ever heard of the Manly Wade Wellman Award and probably doesn't care. What they want to hear is, this is if Supernatural were on HBO and all Dean, no Sam. Way more F-bombs, way less crying. And I have them read the first line. And the first line of the first Quincy Harker book is, I fucking hate demons. There. Done. If I get them that far, I'm almost always getting $20 out of the pocket. Sometimes more if they want to buy more of the series. At no point did I discuss all of the depth of the Quincy Harker series. We're 9 books in. That would take an hour. I'm not interested in spending an hour talking to somebody at my table, and they're not interested in standing there listening. They want to see if they think the book is neat enough to give me $20, and I want to make the book sound neat enough to get $20. If they say, Harker, isn't that? Then I go a little deeper into structure, because then they're looking at something else that makes the book cool to them. I'm like, yes, Quincy Harker is the son of Jonathan Harker and Mina Murray from the novel Dracula. He was named after all of the men that participated in the hunt for Dracula. And Dracula's a character in the book. That usually gets them too. So what you're looking to do is not summarize the plot. It's super condensed, 15 seconds. You're not there to tell everybody all about the book. I don't tell people that Scattered, Smothered, and Chunked is a collection of a bunch of short stories with one origin novella at the end, unless that's the hook. Typically, I tell people it's a giant redneck who runs around the southeastern United States hunting down monsters and blowing shit up. And then, something I learned from one of the people at my booth, something that has increased sales of the second book in this series by about 100% over the course of this year. I tell people straight up, I said, hey, by the way, you should buy the second book. Because I'm a jerk, so I wrote a cliffhanger at the end of book 1. And the naked Sasquatch dick fight scene is in book 2. And that gets a whole lot of, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I said what I said. And as soon as somebody hears naked Sasquatch dick fight, it's worth $15 just for them to figure out what the hell I'm talking about. Because again, if someone's at a convention, at a Comic-Con, at a sci-fi con, they have a certain amount of money that they plan to spend in the dealer room. Your job is not to convince them to spend money they don't have or they don't want to spend. They're already spending money. Your job is to get them to spend as much of it as possible with you. If you can do that, you win. David Eddings wrote a series of books a million years ago called The Belgariad, and I read them as a young person and really enjoyed them before I realized some of the problematic elements in the books, monolithic cultures, etc., and some of the problematic things with Eddings himself. And those do color my enjoyment of the books in later years. But he had a character one time talk about selling. and stealing and swindling and all the things. And this character, Prince Keldar, Silk, said the money's just a way of keeping score. And that's what this is. Your money is a way of keeping score. Every interaction is a game. They come to your table with money in their pocket, and they have a plan to spend a certain amount of that money in the room that you're in. So your game, your goal, is to get them to spend it with you and not the guy next door. You may love the guy next door. The guy next door may be your bestie, maybe your brother, maybe your lover, whatever. But your job is to get the money before they get the money. You can be as absolutely happy for them getting paid, and they'll be happy for you getting paid. Pardon any noises in the background. My cats have decided to be psychopaths, not their normal sedate sociopaths. Yeah, Gandalf, I'm looking at you. He's right on the other side of the camera, just staring at me. Standing on a stack of magic boxes. It's like 2.5 feet high. But so anyway, your job is to convince them to spend the money they already want to spend, and to spend it with you. So you need to keep your pitch tight. If they want to read the whole synopsis, they can do that. Now, you may notice that on the back of the Bubba the Monster Hunter books, I made up all of these blurbs. This is the silliest pile of crap I ever read. Who would want to read all about all this stupid mess? From the author's dad, who wanted him to go to law school. Well, my dad did kind of want me to go to law school. Mostly because he understood that being a lawyer would make a lot of money, and that's better than being a writer, which does not make a lot of money. But my dad never read Bubba the Monster Hunter. He doesn't know if it was the silliest pile of crap he'd ever read or not. So I made it up. Because it's comedy, I can do that. I also made a fake blurb from my high school principal. Fairly certain my high school principal also has never read anything I've written. But Mr. Harrison, if you're out there and you did and you enjoyed it, thanks, bud. Also, somebody let me know if Mr. Harrison's still alive, because I have no idea. Anyway, completely regardless of any of that, when you're pitching your book, you're not giving away the plot. You're not giving the entire synopsis of the book. You're giving comps are great, but you are engaging directly with the person across the table from you in an honest, sincere, and hopefully fun way. But what if I'm not fun? Then fake being fun. Watch people who are fun and rip off what they do. Get out of your head. You are the reason you're not selling more books, because you don't believe that people want to buy your books. People want to buy your books. If people didn't want to buy your books, they wouldn't be in your dealer room. And if you have a table in the dealer room, it's your dealer room. You need to walk in there like you own the place, like you are the best, biggest damn deal in the joint, and that you're going to sell all the books. No, you do not have to believe any of that. You just have to act like you do. And as long as you act like you do, eventually you will do all of those things. So if this information is helpful, if you think there's more that you want to learn like this, please like, subscribe, ring the bell to get notified. And if you want to support the making of this channel and pay for my also high-tech backlight, which is a cute LED light sitting on a paint can right now. Then you can join our Patreon and you'll get these a little bit earlier than everybody else. So till next time, me and Gandalf and Daisy say, peace out.